Backs up against the wall for Winstrike as we go on to our map 3 here. Very competitive there on Mirage, but now we go to where they play their best Counter-Strike. It's Dust 2.
Yeah, knife round starting, in fact, so we will be getting into the action incredibly soon. Forza, so much momentum with us, 16-7. So incredible. Just coming out from them, the fact that they were so dominant in that second map after impressing us on Overpass, especially on their CT side, which appears to be where they're going to be starting out on Dust 2. So we get to see them, as you said, doing their best work in their best form as well. And Winstrike on the T side of Dust 2 need to make things happen immediately. If they don't get the momentum on their side with this pistol, with these conversions, they might be out of this series completely, and their win streak might even be broken.
Let's hope they can repeat that performance on Overpass, where they were able to take an 8-round lead actually on that T side itself. So as we get into the action of this pistol, it is that sole P250 for Elian once again.
Yeah, we've seen this time and time again, now peering down through the double doors, exchanges tiny bits of damage to Flit. It's not a headshot, nothing to write home about. Zorte, on the other hand, wants to write some messages himself with his USPS peering down B tunnels.
Abusing the verticality of the short to spot two players, at least gain that initial intel for Flit to respond off the back of. Loves playing through these smokes, and that's exactly why. Right below onto Lackey, as short is now controlled by Elmeza. They walk into the USPS where they can respond onto the A bomb site in style. Crad wants to end this procedure though. Through the middle of the map, it's a B split eventually, with the bomb wrapping back. Oh, Forrester drops it, only leaving Elian exposed inside the tons.
He's got the P250 and the Kevlar. He might be able to make something magical happen here on Dust 2B site. Take the first couple shots to Kenzie, but he needs to find that frag faster.
That's messy. Doesn't lose any HP in that retaliation, but Zorte's playing a very long angle inside of the CT spawn, and they can convert on top of one another, playing this one individualistic against Elian, trying to do that initial damage. They need to rely on that sniper from Forze, albeit it's a pistol round. He doesn't have one in his hands, but the range would suggest otherwise. Loves playing across the map. Fast shots. There's the conversion.
It's messy, as you said, Squid, but Forza take the pistol. And this is the decider we all wanted to see here, with Forza getting off to a great start. And now, Jerry investing into an MP9. It shows you where these teams are heading. This is going to be a force buy. And Elian, with the lesser sniper of the scout, needs to find some action. We've seen Crad make this Tech 9, in fact, used very, very well on Overpass. If Elian can't find any action, then it just has to be the lesser pistol, obviously, the Deagles, the rest of them. We have 2 flashes and 4 smokes. So Winstrike looking for a set piece towards B, perhaps, as they exit out of tunnels here.
And how powerful those nades can be, especially when they come into combination with Crad. It's the headshot hit just before to eventually eliminate him. With Nickelback prying towards short to trade it back into a 4 versus 4.
HP does not favor Winstrike whatsoever. They trade back with the Deagle. All they recover is an MP9, as was foretold, perhaps. Zorte. Nice wallbang headshot through the doors, in fact, and Flick can now give chase.
Impressive stuff. So much map control as the Desert Eagles gets decimated. That's on the approach, leaving Nickelback caught in translation. Lackey unlikely to get the bomb down. Actually does last possible second there. So the Deagle comes into conversion with only 8 HP. He's being wrapped around by either side. Almeza actually allows him to reload where they can be converted. Why are they not finding Lackey? Bouncing right over the top. Flit has had enough of this madness.
Yeah, that was madness. Forza losing so many players and so much damage as well. So that won't convert into an extra frag. Would have loved to see maybe some headshots coming out, but it's so close. And this is what we've seen from Winstrike in general. Even on their half buys or force buys, they can bring the damage. They can bring the pain. Forza able to answer back, but for how much longer? They've got 2 AUGs. They need to make them both sing.
Lackey taking a play out of Almezer's book with that single solitary AK-47, playing that hero rifle on the Winstrike side. We saw Almezer find a triple kill opening onto the A site and Mirage just a little bit earlier.
Forza are so dominant in these kinds of scenarios. Remember that the hero AK-47 for Lackey, Winstrike didn't find any purchase with that on Mirage. It was Forza doing all the damage, as you mentioned, especially Almezer. 3 frags himself just to open up the A bomb site in a very impactful round. Forza, on the other hand, usually stand tall in these scenarios.
Oh, Shadow spotted as well. Lucky has all of the intel, and he blasts
Oh.
3 frags. You speak and he appears. We doubted him with the solitary AK-47 earlier, but stepping up to form where it really matters in map 3.
Takes away all the rifles as well. Only Almazer's AUG in its prime position. Lackey will eventually fall, but it might be enough because the B side is open and Forrester has opened it up himself.
Certainly is for
Oh!
business, and there's a lovely headshot to close. It's Forrester to decimate.
Statement flick coming out from him, and that gives Winstrike the first round for them. So impactful. Remember, these teams are both backs against the wall because they've both dropped maps. It's just that Forza have the momentum coming into this. That might not be true anymore. Flitz on just a deagle. The rest of him, okay, they do have rifles, but Zorte's been sort of relegated to just a scout. Nothing early doing just yet. Long control secured for Forza. What can they do off the back of this? Do they have any real information? Do they hear the tick onto Elian, perhaps, who has picked up the AWP, now peering down mid, and he will frag Zorte out of the server.
Of course, he wins that battle. The scout retrieved by a fluctuating flick. He didn't really know whether he wanted to play on the B site or mid. With no information towards the upper tons, he plays the latter instead. Back to the elevator position. That'll shove towards the back of mid. Lackey, in the meantime, throws the smokes onto the A site, where Forrester can try and come in and convert with the scope of his own being off the back of that AUG. They have no coverage on A, do Forza. They'll play short instead, where they try and sandwich in Nickelback. Tough position to hold, but with the smoke fading, of course, he places down a fast frag. Elian now with an AWP, looking to convert this A bomb site, where Lackey finds a lightning fast headshot. Even with the X-ray, that one was very hard to spot, but he's eating his carrots. X-ray vision for himself. 2-2. Likely to convert with Elian finding another one, leaving it all down to Flit. He certainly won't quit. Playing through these smokes. Forrester found not much damage dealt as a response, leaving Elian, the 2-star players in the server, to try and find this one with the AWP. Information spotted. Knows he hasn't dropped towards the CT spawn, so takes the swing instead.
It's very important that Elian gets that frag, Squid, because even though the bomb was ticking down, that AWP was a must to carry into the next round. Winstrike tie us up, but it doesn't look so convincing, especially with the advantage of positioning, of money. They certainly will have a better time in round 5, looking at the minimal buy, just a single flashbang and smoke exchanged. Forza looking to stack towards A, where the bomb is not heading just yet. However, Forrester might get caught off guard here with so many members.
Pop flash. This allows Forrester to go for the peek onto long, while Almazer and Zorte are both holding. USPS is ready and waiting for this engagement. All 5, in fact, for Forza. Wait on the approach with Elian still staring down mid. Won't actually find anything in the initial portions of this one. Number 5.
Crad will find plenty. He's already out B, making space with the MAC-10, exposing the fact that this is likely an A stack, at the very least a lean, because nobody has been found, even down mid. Look at him go. Speeding away there, and now Forrester's on watch, on guard. Winstrike should be able to easily plant this bomb. At that point, Forza may be hunting.
I wonder if Elian decides to delay this bomb, allowing the MAC-10s to farm some cash onto these unarmored pistols. They know it mustn't be an investment permitting this stack. So the MAC-10s have got aggressive, especially for Crad, who sat within the CT spawn. Looking for a little bit more. Of course, Forza will burrow into the pit. Forrester wants to sniff it out. Getting this information, can communicate it back. There is only one P250 sat inside the pit there. Flit with the other one. As Winstrike look to try and convert some frags. Definitely can't justify spending this AWP. Won't likely be retrieved, of course, but Jerry can instantly communicate this information that they are barreling onto the A site. Minimal kill bonus for Elian as it's found with a sniper. You would have preferred for the MAC-10 to take the peak isolated instead. They need to carry them through, but Long is certainly not going to be under contest as the P250s at least survive. That's not much of a prize.
Certainly not. None of the investment coming true for Forza. And a statement round, the fact that that was one of the few rounds that we've seen as an anti-eco that went the way that we expected, that went the ABC CS way. When you have that handshake and just expect a stack, doesn't come to fruition, okay, well, Forza, not able to find any victory there with very minimal investment. They come into this one with 4 proper rifles and the concession of the FAMAS. That's on Kenzie, who's been an on-fire player so far in this series. However, not in a prime position to capitalize, as 5 members from Winstrike are out short.
Let's remember that Elian still has that AWP, and no sniper to compete with him on Sorte. He's relegated to the M4A4 instead. A map like Dust 2, you never want that to be the case, especially when you're getting wrapped in by the SMGs on the A site, wanting to play that advantageous angle from range, but unable to do so with the firepower there. It's the M4A1S to give it its best. 4 kills, Jerry. Also shuts down Forrester. Nickelback's only got the Mac 10 to utilize upon the short, where Almazer, with a likewise weapon, closes it down.
What a round from Jerry to get 4 frags, not traded at all. Elian caught off guard, didn't even have the sniper trained on the angle, not even equipped, had a nade out. That was it, man. As soon as he gets that frag and the follow-up as well, it's almost always going to be over where Forze can retake. But when Jerry secures the extra 2 on top of that and frags the bomb planter, Winstrike never going to win that one, especially with that Mac 10 being the sole survivor. So now the bonus round well and truly over. It's a tie game yet again. Elian back on the sniper, and one for Zorte as well.
We've seen every member of Forza have moments of brilliance in this series. That was another one there.
Absolutely the case, with Kenzie finding so many of those moments himself on Mirage. Same goes for Almazer. Right now it's Elian to take an aggressive angle, but Flit punishes with the AUG.
And that means that that AWP is isolated through the middle of the map. Not that Forza have been prioritizing the double sniper setup. Dust 2 is the only one in the pool, realistically, where it's justifiable. Oh, wow. That's a blind shot. Another nade through mid for Jerry to do even further whittling away of the HP onto Nickelback and Crad collectively. About 30 damage found from that HE.
Yeah, remember as well that Winstrike had Lady Luck on their side on Mirage, and it still wasn't enough to score more than 7 rounds. They got so many blind kills, wall bangs, through smoke, pre-fires, insane plays coming out from them. If that happens for Forza now, this matchup could be even more dominant than Mirage was. Still early days and a very competitive opener, but this round looks anything but.
Mid as the smokes are placed.
It's very slow. Bomb now towards suicide. Crad holding. Likely a save coming out, as Winstrike have just found nothing in this round.
Oh, yes. That AWP especially, you want to keep it through for the hands of Elian. Pins it into the next. He's been so impactful in this series, Pronogo. You haven't seen those same flashes here on Dust 2 thus far. We're only 7 rounds in, though, but that mid-play looked very janky. Remember, he was flashed off the angle by the flawless Forza utility usage. Forced into the corner where, well, the AK-47s to take control of, which Forza carry 4 into round number 8.
Yeah, that's a good CT side when you've got all riflers on those Kalashnikovs. Not a sight we normally see. Now with Forza in the lead, this round should be much the same. Okay, plenty of rifles saved over for Winstrike, but unless they can make do with limited utility, looks like a better buy than we initially expected, with Lackey compromising onto the Galil. Now the question is, where do they want to go? Winstrike with 3 members towards B, only 1 to receive. Of course, Almazer, who's been rock solid on the CT side so far, and Forrester tagged down low. Certainly means there will be an audible called here by Winstrike.
Yeah, they'll sit within the T-spawn with the bomb on Crad. And perhaps even Nickelback to support. That's Forrester, in fact, towards the T-spawn. Just watching down mid as well. Definitely a more touch-and-go angle, considering they know Zorte already has the AWP, and exactly this series, what he can do with it. Flashes over. Mid contested with. They want to jump on top of the Xbox, but that smoke is fading, leaving them very vulnerable to the sniper. They haven't spotted it, so maybe the presumption that it's playing on short. It is. Zorte shot and falls back. That one doesn't connect. No damage dealt as he falls towards the car instead. Again, support from Jerry's AK-47 on ramp. They can play in conjunction with one another and try and close down these angles, where Winstrike whip out their best tactic, the most infamous, this B-split.
This is going to be big coming out from Winstrike if they can make it happen, but the nades are good from Forza. They've conserved that utility with only 2 members on the site. This could be a very stunning retake coming out from them if they even lose it at all, and Winstrike need to be fast.
Ooh, that nade perfectly timed. You talked about conservation of utility, and that was it, wrapped up in 1. Damage onto Crad and Forrester. influential before the push inevitably comes through. Crowd to find the first on the engagement. Almeza traded as well. And Forze, tail tucked between legs, stuck in the CT spawn as Kenzie cannot tap through the double doors. Those are the double doors onto the B site, of course, where Lack is able to cross and plant the bomb. Conjunction with Forrester, who holds a crossfire with Elian being the triangulation. Barrel spotted, there's the elbow, and Jerry is eliminated from the server.
That means they have to call it off. Their money's not good enough to rebuy if they lose all players. In fact, even if they don't, Almazer and Flit will be the ones to drop. So remember that going into the next. Winstrike keeping things so very competitive with less utility than we initially expected coming out from this round. And of course, that compromise on the Galil certainly doesn't matter when only 2 members there to receive, and despite the utility damage, Forza not able to convert off of that one. Very well played from Winstrike despite the slower pace. Elian wasn't able to cross out mid and maybe wrap on. He only had the AWP holding for any lurks through the smokes. Some whiffed utility as well. Certainly didn't make any matters any worse. Now we come into round number 9. Forza, healthy enough buy. Should have plenty, but this one goes south. Winstrike will certainly take not only this one, but the next. It's all on to these op duels early picks. So far, they have been going the way of Winstrike, and Forza have recovered well, but not so in that previous round.
Crad buys into the MAC-10 here, despite having enough cash for the favorable AK-47, maybe wanting to be the first pincer into the B-bomb site to challenge Kenzie.
He's already taken some nade damage, so he might fall to a well-placed headshot, but with this salvaged AK-47, Kenzie might not make it matter at all. Keep your eyes out on Crad. He needs to make enough space.
He's been taking nade damage, a bit of a routine on the T side. The player to receive the brunt of those HEs in the previous round, down to 50, this time 83. That's enough to get the job done with flashes again from Winstrike. These fundamentals, not always routine, but when you've got Crad climbing through the smokes, there's absolutely an opportunity to take B. Bomb to go down, that's off the back of Nickelback.
They have to save, Squid. Forza can't do anything in this scenario.
There is absolutely no opportunity for Forza to get this one done, so sandwich into the CT spawn to save the double M4s of either variety, remember. Sortie and AWP. Held funnily enough on A, watching short. We'll be able to get out of this one more than likely, with Winstrike prioritizing building their money instead of the hunts.
It's pretty funny, too, that Crad obviously comes into this round with a MAC-10 and leaves with one of those salvaged AK-47s off the back of Kenzie falling so early under that B-site take. Very, very impressive coming out from Winstrike for them to double up on B for the last 2 rounds. Good fundamentals coming up from Forza, however. If they do save, they will have another buy going into this one and remain competitive, something we see the CT side struggling so frequently to make happen. Will be a timeout to consider options, but make no mistake, this next round should be quite on the money. With Zorta able to drop for Flit, Winstrike will be up against yet another full gun round. This series is continuing to deliver. Mirage was a little bit more dominant than maybe we expected. Overpass not so, and Forza impressing us shows that even if they do go down by a couple of rounds, they can certainly turn this half on its head. Anybody's game, anybody's half, still remains to be seen who the victor will be. And Winstrike, they are trying to defend their 11. If they take this map, it'll be 12 series win streak. Remember that.
Saving Rifles certainly has been making headlines recently, with Virtus Pro winning IEM Katowice. That James style, of course. Maybe dissipating out to the other CIS squads. We've got 2 of them in the server right now. Forza, Winstrike. A full buy for both squads and a double AWP setup for the first time for Flit. He plays on that double sniper, with Zorte taking the initial face onto Elian. That AWP duel won again.
Yeah, the fundamentals coming in for Forza. Maybe studying Gambit, as you mentioned, the winners of IEM Katowice. You gotta keep that in mind coming into this one, with these 2 CIS rosters taking pages out of the best books they can find. Those strat books, of course, so good. Winstrike now down a member, and it is such an impactful one. They haven't even bothered to recover the AWP, and the question is, do they suggest Flit's sniper secondary? Of course. Will they know it? Currently lingering outside by scaffolding towards that B-bomb site, can rotate through window at any time, and it might have to be soon as Winstrike take their positions.
This AWP support is much needed from Flit from mid. Almeza just sitting back flat. Can try and take this initial face with Flit watching in from the window. An overseer angle from the AWP as Flit wants to go in for more. Position exposed to Molotov to bait him out behind the smokes. But with Almeza taken down, that's the bomb going down on B, and Forrester can try and squeal into an afterplant with Flit trying to pressure in through the window once again. Nickelback.
3 coming tunnels.
Yeah, and Nickelback's here, right around the corner. If they don't check it, there's an opportunity. But Forza looks hyper-aware. 2 kills gives Forrester a chance on B. Nickelback might have done everything, but Forrester now needs to burrow himself out of an unenviable position behind the boxes. Another headshot into the tunnels as Flit wants to contest right around the AWP. Not going to happen. It's the star power of Winstrike shining again.
And Forza have no money, Squid. They can't reinvest into an AWP off the back of getting 2 in the previous round, neither finding any success. Yeah, Alien goes down early, but Winstrike still make it happen and are now 2 rounds ahead. But unenviable is the perfect word. You used it to describe Forster's position, but look at this scenario. Just a couple of deagles, a single smoke, and 3 sets of Kevlar. Winstrike should be up by 3 rounds by the end of this one.
They certainly should. AK-47s all around. With the exception of Elian, you want to be seeing him on the AWP to take that mid-face against the potential Zorte Scout. Of course, he won't have one this time, just the USPS towards long.
Yeah, Zorte not able to find too much impact. We touted this earlier as a potential weakness for Forza. Remember that, because he wasn't particularly tested on Mirage, even though it was a dominant victory for this Forza lineup. Winstrike certainly don't feel pressured at all, peering down these angles, especially against pistols, but even when Zorte does have that sniper, found some impact in the previous round, but wasn't enough. Certainly not enough to warrant the investment.
Although Tunnel's control has been taken, Brad is initially going to be able to suspect they're coming in from behind, taking out one and finding Flit on the other for Forrester to convert onto both of those pistol kills. That opens up the B site. They still want to take the approach into A, where Jerry's Deagle is holding. They have no absolute guarantee that B is clear, but as they spot the pistols, I'd love to see Winstrike go elsewhere. It might not even matter as the Desert Eagles fail the connections over the boxes, and that is just such a lovely shot from Nickelback, only spawning the very tip of Jerry's cranium.
This is a bit of a break of pace. Remember that Winstrike did struggle against the forces of Forza, and likewise for the other team as well. The fact that Winstrike have so efficiently dealt with their opponents in those eco rounds and half-buys speaks volumes to what has actually changed in this series. Perhaps Winstrike, the favorites to take the series, have made the adaptations necessary. Right now they seem to be dominating Forza, both in those eco situations and also when they do decide to exec towards this B bomb site.
An adjustment, in fact, in the defense of that B-bomb site that you just mentioned. Almeza not playing here anymore, replaced by Kenzie, who calls up close and personal with, of course, the M4. Finds a blind shot. Crad didn't make any noise. A couple of shots through, but definitely not on that angle. He was playing a back and passive one at that. AWP, Elian, spots a shoulder, and Almeza is eliminated.
If he's not lightning fast on that particular take, it immediately falls apart for Winstrike, because you saw Lackey down to below half HP, just barely. That would have been a frag. Very aggressive positioning. Winstrike punish. Now they come into fruition. Can they take this A bomb site?
They don't even need to. The bomb is already sandwiched out at B. Forrester's taken all of the initiative and can with the AK-47. Lackey as well running a diversion. Forza, they've been run an absolute fake, and they're retaking into the wrong bomb site. Elian holds it off anyway, just like the C4's down. But it is. They've been run an absolute ruse, as Forza still don't know what's going on. Flit obviously trying to save behind the boxes. Doesn't even need to sandwich inside the CT spawn because all of these positions are fully compromised. This won't be a retake at all.
Not at all. Forza can't put the pieces together. Winstrike collapsing the economy of their opponents yet again. Only 2 rifles saved, and they should be hunted down right now. Jerry finds 1 frag. It's all down to whether or not Flit can keep this AUG. Nickelback hunting.
Ooh, Flit doesn't take the shot as well, instead playing patient around the corner. Won't get traded as well, as no members of Winstrike were playing inside of that CT spawn. Just an isolated final death.
It makes the Winstrike IGL look a little foolish, but that's all right, because the economy is there. We get into round 13 here, and Winstrike still favored to get even more damage done. They've already won the half with that previous round. they can do much more. Timeout called by Forza. They need to figure out what they're going to buy because the economy doesn't look too hot.
Checking your corners is rule number 1 from page 1 in Counter-Strike, but that's one that you're not necessarily expecting. And Flit, we talked about his positioning so much this series. He really knows how to change up those angles and catch his opponents by surprise.
You're absolutely right, Squid. Flit has impressed not just in terms of the aim department, his mechanical skill certainly there. He's also just a really good player in terms of his game sense, his positioning. He can certainly elevate this Forza lineup as he has done historically. Remember, top fragger for this team on Overpass, which went to a bit of a close scoreline. Mirage much more dominant, and Flit himself obviously activated a lot more. Right now, it's Jerry and Flit to be the only riflemen of this Forza lineup. Everybody else just on deagles. Limited utility. Winstrike should be able to take this one relatively comfortably unless they gamble into the wrong place.
They've been consistently gambling the wrong way, whether it be a read from Winstrike or Forza just second-guessing the approach. They're playing the majority of their defense towards mid with absolutely no coverage on the actual A site. Holding from short instead with Jerry, one of the M4s, starting to slide in combination with both Almays there, and Kenzie's got the angle as well. Almays has actually taken the approach towards the top of mid, so getting even further intel where Crad has yet to spot him beside the T-spawn, so still watching down Suicide. What is Crad doing? He is sat here just looking for the flanks where Almazer, doesn't actually recognize that he's playing around the corner. In the meantime, this push towards the A site is coming through. Almazer's won the fight, but the bomb's still likely to go down on A unless these smokes prove influential as Zorte converts another one. It's Elian to fall, and that's Winstrike crumbling again.
Yeah, it's so much information coming out of Almazer there. His lurk down mid, he evades the scope, the line of sight coming out from Crad. Maybe Crad himself was lining up a utility or something like that. Maybe a smoke to sell some presence towards mid, but Forza call the bluff. Almazer gets the shot with the deagle, surprising Crad, who likely didn't even have his AK-47 out and trained. Now that's a nice force buy victory coming out from Forza. In fact, minimal utility, just the deagles. That's how they make that one happen. Winstrike looked on track to take it, but he gambled into the wrong stack.
Yeah, Crad actually did have the information there on his screen, not that he recognized it. His eyes obviously trained on the wrong angle. Now B split, Winstrike all coming through from all approaches. Forrester, the only kill that Winstrike are initially able to obtain as they sneak into the B tons. This has been communicated by Forza, of course. Kenzie has held up that B site sensationally. Quick kill.
Winstrike should know, based on the utility usage, that Forza still have members towards A. Right now, it doesn't really matter where they want to pincer down on, but Kenzie being so low on B would favor a B take if they could make it happen. They just don't feel so confident with limited utility. Maybe a run boost in the making here into Zorte's crosshairs.
Needs to hit the shot, does! Oh, that's such a lovely flick. Elian cannot find anything as the AWP battle once again. I feel like a broken record won by Zorte. Trains his scope on the angle again. Lackey able to trade, but the A bomb site has been eviscerated. That take could never come through.
No, Winstrike needed to get those opening frags, and they're stalled out by Zorte's AWP, who does have to reinvest going into this round, bought down to only $100. This is the last one, however, so the economy no longer a factor, and we'll get a full buy from both teams to end this first half in what might be just another competitive half. Remember, Forza could take 7 here, which is more than serviceable on the CT side.
Certainly the case. That's the exact scoreline, by the way, we saw all the way ago on Overpass. Feels like a lifetime ago since they played on that map, even though Mirage was suspiciously short.
Yeah, Winstrike obviously were the 7 on Overpass. There's going to be at least 8 here. But still, echoes of map 1. Not always what you want to see, as Winstrike were not comfortable in that particular map. Forza taking them close. They look to do so again. This is the barn burner of a series we wanted, Squid, and while map 2 is short, this one looks to be delivering on all fronts. Very strategic play coming out from both of these teams, despite the fact that some of the stars have fragged out in very unsuspecting manners. It looks like it might be a B presence, but the bomb is towards short, where 2 members from Forza are at long.
Since the smokes have been thrown onto the B site first, this more resembles a fake rather than a B split, with Winstrike 3 players to challenge Zorte. He's been sensational with the AWP and once again nails down Lackey. He's had his number this map, and 40 seconds left. We doubted Zorte a little earlier, but with Elian on the angle, trained onto the sniper, Zorte is going to fall, giving away the entirety of Long, with only Kenzie's presence towards that trash can at the very back as he plays a game of chess against Crad, which, of course, it's checkmate from him. Can fall back towards the middle of the map to hold the rotations at bay, where Almazer and Flit, no saving anymore, permitting this is round number 15. AK-47 and M4A1S wants to breach in through the equation, where they can take down Crad. That's the backwards angle taken. Nickelback another angle, but he knows exactly where Almazer's playing from, and certainly doesn't need to take the risk. Give the M4A1S a look back into this one. Great headshot, good half Winstrike.
Absolutely the case. From Forza, you expected a little bit more, especially a bit of a comeback on their CT side coming up into that one. With Winstrike taking 9, it's not as close as it could have been. That being said, Winstrike certainly have some momentum. And when they go over to the CT side, especially if they can get that economy rolling, Squid, we saw what happened on Overpass, those double AWPs being very impactful.
Yeah, massively so, especially Elian, who was the top fragger on the server. A great 1 versus 3 as well from him. We haven't seen them same flashes of excellence here on Dust 2, but I hope that he can step up when he's most at home on the CT side, where he can control his own engagements, right? He can sit towards the middle of the map and try and catch his opponents off guard, where on the T side, yes, you are forced into avenues, and maybe you have a bit more freedom to position yourself in those angles, but Elian, a lot of tenure on this team, a long time playing with these rosters. Of course, he'll be given the freedom on the CT side.
We would certainly expect it. He was just delivering time and time again on Overpass and also on Mirage, one of the only reasons why Winstrike even found 7 in that particular map. So coming into this one, you expect Elian to continue to deliver as he did in this opening half on the T side. It might even be easier for him on CT, especially with the firepower of Lackey if they can get the economy rolling and get that second sniper in play. On the side of Forza's T side, we saw some very impressive stuff on Mirage. That needs to be mirrored in Dust 2 if they want to take this series and complete the upset that they started when they dominated Winstrike just a map ago.
We really did think this was going to train, to be perfectly honest with you, with Winstrike probably being more comfortable on that third and final map. They have a bit more mobility in the map pool, but here against Forza, they decided to go for a comfort pick for both teams, where we get this handshake, as you said, where both teams obviously very competent on Dust 2, especially on that CT side where it can be very hard to lock down the angles. And considering Forza were able to find 6, stacking the incorrect bomb site the majority of the time, that's still a fairly impressive scoreline. Let's see if they can bounce back as we get into half 2.
Absolutely. This is a competitive series, make no mistake. And with Forza and Winstrike taking each other on, the halves have swapped. Winstrike on the CT side, what do they invest in? They've got a couple of flashes for maybe some counter utility, especially if they have a read on what Forza want to do. A decoy down towards B, unlikely to sell anything. That's from Zorte, who does have plenty of utility. 2 smokes signifies A.
Nickelback, funnily enough, one of the few players in the CIS region who opt for that less popular P2000. Here comes the long aggression from Jerry's Glock especially. He'll take the angle off the back of flashbangs provided by Zorte. 1 in hand, trying to get Elian off of the angle, and a run boost as well. Oh no, they don't even take the swing. Elian instantly assassinates Almazer. And where are these returns coming from? Perhaps Zorte on the angle. We dive back to B, but let's see what Jerry's doing. Here comes the peak. Oh, flashbang found. They know exactly where Elian's playing behind the car. And with Crad nailing shots, Elian right in behind. The P250s cannot spring to life in time. It's just Kenzie to find the solitary frag for Forza as everybody else gets cut down. Flip, a 1 versus 3. He's maybe the player that you'd want in this scenario, but with Lackey pushing up mid, unsuspecting to him, it's Winstrike 10.
Absolutely. Winstrike, they play their angles and their distances so well. They don't try to take those closer peeks, peering out from the corner towards that door. Instead, they go back to car, they go back to plat, and that's where Forza are disadvantaged because they didn't invest into P250s. Now Flit will in this round, but it looks like a hard eco coming up from the T side. They're conceding round number 11 for Winstrike, and this is going to be very, very dominant indeed. Look at this. Elian with the scout, tags 1. Through the door, in fact. It's going to be MP9s and 2 M4s. That'll be rounding out the composition for Winstrike, and should be an 11th for them. Crack double digits, and, well, Forza not looking too hot right now.
Once upon a time, Dust 2 would have been a secret pocket pick for Forza. Nowadays, sometimes they will dive into it. A bit of mobility in the map pool, as I said earlier, but map like Inferno would also take center stage. Obviously not played in this series, considering that's Winstrike's permaban. Pistols, that's towards mid, where the bomb is outside of the B-tons, just waiting for any aggression from either Lackey or Forrester, who will just sit in place. They've got both of these angles contained, as they can create a crossfire and sandwich in this B-split. It will come through, all through mid. Lackey knows it. Forrester, a couple of kills, and the SMG will convert, along with the M3A1S. Only one kill. That's the SMG dropped, as I mentioned. Maybe if Kenzie can wrap up this kill, there's an opportunity for a bomb plant with a rotate a million miles away. Need to get it down right now. Throws away the M3A1S right over the wall, I think. Trying to make that one unretrievable, as he's got no chance in this round. Smoke place gives him another angle on the B site, but Nickelback rotating in. It's a blind shot to finish.
That's exactly what Forza wanted out of that round, though. They killed 2 players of the CT side, deny the access to the greater weapon of the M4A1S, and on top of that, get the bomb down off of a hard eco, remember. They overwhelm and swarm that B bomb site, and it just ends up so good for them. Yeah, they're down by 5 rounds, but Forza now can come back with a proper buy 1 round earlier than we would normally expect.
And Winstrike is stuck with an MP9, a Scout, and that single M4A4. The M4A1S, totally unretrievable.
Absolutely. Now Elian, using this Scout that he's carried over from the previous round, needs to contend with the sniper of Zorte, who's actually gone to pick long. Krad might get caught unaware from here.
Ooh, needs to contest this AWP. Does so with the incendiary grenade that early falls into long tons. Zorte forced off the angle. As Krad
so good.
Forces
it's
his
so
hand.
good. Zorte himself didn't fire a shot, so Winstrike don't know that there's an AWP in play necessarily. Yeah, he didn't peer down mid until now, so he has no confirmation on who's playing there, but this might catch Elian off guard.
Yeah, finally shooting that bullet out of the barrel, so that information will eventually be communicated over to Winstrike. 9 bullets in the AWP. Get the detective work out. Maybe the magnifying glass. Elian will certainly need one to hit this shot into suicide if he even decides to take a peek in the first place. There's a quick shot through the double doors. Jerry tagged. Only 53, but the nade does a little more. 38 now and to short.
It's a great read from Elian to jump throw the nade to get it into an elevated position. He's not expecting Jerry to re-peek from the same area. Now the Molotov incendiary, in fact, separates Kenzie, but he might like that.
He certainly does. Krad doesn't. So shoots him down with the M4A4 as punishment, revenge from that fallen MP9 on Nickelback. Not wanting to retrieve that. That was one of the liabilities of the defense. Zorte long, they weren't expecting that. Krad off the back of a flashbang, able to peek out, but Zorte was unblinded and certainly unaware. Zorte takes another face in combination with Almeza to spray Elian right through those double boxes. A site taken, and this one is a wrap-up.
Has to be a save. Winstrike need to keep these M4s into the next round. They've got about 2.5K on Krad, almost 3K on Nickelback and Elian combined. So given that scenario, they can invest into the next. Even with only 1,400 loss bonus, it's not going to be pretty necessarily, but they have a shot at getting 12 going into the next round. With Forza getting their 7th off the back of a very surprising late information, the fact that Zorte waits so long to reveal the AWP, gets the frag on a Nickelback off of that swing, there was absolutely no way the CTs were expecting that. You talk about conservation of utility so much on Dust 2 and especially Overpass, but given the fact that they're able to conserve even the information of what weapon they're using, Winstrike totally caught off guard there.
Beautiful stuff. Zorte even keeping a bit of utility to carry through into this next round. Minimal investment needed off the back of him, meaning he probably gets that sniper out 2 rounds in a row.
Absolutely. Now we can start to see maybe a Forze comeback on the cards. The question really is, how impactful can Zorte be? We've seen him do some of his best work, as you mentioned earlier, Squid, on the T side of Dust 2 with this AWP, where that sniper can be so impactful, getting information, tagging, even kills through the doors almost immediately upon the round starting.
Such an audacious angle upon that wall outside the T spawn, trying to take an aggressive challenge onto Elian, who doesn't peek. He's only got the M3A1S this time.
Question is, what can he do with it?
Certainly a swing off the rear of the flashbang. It's thrown in. Jerry decides to take the base. Almost 3 kills. Traded by Zorte. But it doesn't even matter. Long is taken.
was taken so quick as well. Forze on track for their 8th, and Winstrike now. They need to make a miracle hold happen. Otherwise, this bomb is going down.
Scrambling back into position on the A bomb site, Forze don't need to force the approach considering they've got a 2-man advantage.
No utility for Winstrike, just a single flash on Forrester, that's it. So Forze can absolutely slow the pace, start to make Winstrike second guess their positioning.
Jerry might have only just got 1 kill there, but so much further damage onto both Alaki, Crad, and also Nickelback, remember. Quick kills, on control, and Winstrike now falling off of this A-bomb site where they do presume Forze are heading. Quick kill, very little damage dealt in response to Elian. He's had so many clutches this series. Let's see if it can come into effect once again. In map number 3, 30 seconds left. AK-47 retrieved towards the middle of the map for Forrester, an upgrade. Here comes Kenzie. He's got his boxes covered, but they don't even want to go back in for this one. They're not even anticipating the fact that they'll go for this retake. Instead, fall behind the boxes, and Forrester can keep the AK into the next.
Winstrike are going to be looking for their 12th, maybe not even in the next round. Remember, Forze will definitely have an economic advantage going into the next round, and just seemingly adapted very well to what they expect Winstrike CT side will be. It's going to be quite an impressive comeback if they can tie up the game, even remain competitive in this series. They're showing that they have the stuff. They have what it takes.
I'd really like to see Winstrike change the approach as well and maybe dive back into the double AWP setup that favored them so much earlier. Remember, that combination of Lackey and Elian can be impactful on a map like Dust 2. It's one of the more frequent double AWP maps.
Yeah, but this is Forze's win condition, Squid, especially on T side. Deny the economy, make sure that Winstrike are saving in awkward positions, because what's the sense of throwing away your rifles, right? But if you can't get those secondary AWPs, then Forze can run riot pretty much anywhere they want to on this A site, and they haven't even needed to go B just yet. Maybe we'll see a change now, but it's not even necessary for some of these victories.
And when you're winning rounds without even digging towards page 2 of the strat book, of course, it means you've got a lot more to work with. Crad out towards mid. We saw such power from the USPS even in these full buy rounds. Doesn't happen this time with the conversion from Forze. Everybody eviscerated. Even the rifles taken down without any relative damage done. It was negligible onto Jerry and Almazer in the first place.
Yeah, only 32 points of damage there. Some quick maths for you, but Forze are looking very strong coming into challenging for double digits. And what can Winstrike realistically field? It will be a force buy because round loss bonus helping them out a little bit into the next. Felian can find some picks, maybe some damage early on. He's going to be peeking into the AWP of Zorte and does tag him through the wall. Very impressive stuff, but he's going to need to find a lot more as Forze are finally heading towards the B-bomb site.
A tantalizing AWP duel that we've seen come into effect so many times this series. One by either side, remember. Elian was the absolute MVP of map 1, looking to convert that to an entire series. To extend their win streak on to 12. Flip, angle out, smokes it down, and these pistols punished. There's nothing to do for Winstrike as they get absolutely crunched with only the support of Nickelback to drop the bomb. Is it going to be massively impactful? Along with Lackey finding successes, these smokes, they're playing within them. For us, they're now trying to, well, take the impressive approach, but not too impressive. Flip doesn't like it. He shoots his face off as his AK-47 is effectively dealt with.
Yeah, Lackey maybe had some ideas with that AK-47, but that was pretty much it. He gets flanked by Tons, not expecting that. Forze on track for an 11th. Will be a proper buy, but limited utility and certainly no head armor. Not that that will play a factor against AKs and an AWP. We finally see the double snipers for Winstrike. This is what we need to see as far as an adaptation goes. That's why they force spot in such a peculiar way, so that they would make sure that they have the money for both snipers. Ooh, and Lackey opened things up. That's not who Zorte was expecting to see. That will be information communicated that there is a second sniper most likely on this roster.
Oh, yes. That is certainly communication that'll be coming through from Zorte right now. Maybe in a more angry way. Definitely doesn't want to be taken down in those engagements. It's him, the infamous player, to play over these smokes. Him and Elian, in fact. But Lackey, not too notorious for those smoke plays. This time, able to nail one instantaneously, leaving the secondary AWP of Lackey looking towards short. He's got the angle. Almazer and Jerry want to run boost, potentially to try and compete with it. Oh, leg shot. That's damage. Almazer cautioned back.
Yeah, and you know what? Almazer should be known to have only a little bit of HP. Elian should definitely be able to radio that information over. 2 HEs left on the server as well. One on Nickelback and the other on Forrester. Depending on how they want to engage this short push. Surviving members of Forza limping now out. What can they do with the utility they have? Plenty of it, but right now there's 3 members to receive from Winstrike, and the other 2, while they are very far away, certainly can help out through CT.
They might not even need it. If Crad can hold up the line behind the boxes, if this goes unchecked, and with fewer members, the likelihood is they can check fewer angles. Jerry disagrees. Quick flick onto the headshot AK-47 as they plan towards short with coverage all the way in between. They're covering mid right now, knowing that there's nobody from Winstrike actually pushing onto short to convert this frag. Oh, Flip was playing that angle before. This time Almeza, and Forrester absolutely knows it. Kenzie once again scourging for the information. Back to the CT spawn. We can play behind Lackey, who's already gone down. This Deagle now needs to come into play with the AWP as well. Kenzie, he's been outmaneuvered in this scenario. And they expect that he's onto short, but with the bomb planted in the open, they have to get the full 10-second defuse in. No, they rotate the kit through, but that allows Kenzie more control onto short. A nade over the top doesn't do the damage.
And Forrester should be able to recover the secondary AWP. He does, in fact, and that's brilliant coming out from him. So a 2-round lead and both snipers preserved. We saw this exact scenario play out on Overpass. Map number 1, Forza not able to kill more than 3 players of the CT defense, and they can keep that money flush by getting both snipers in the hands of the right players. It's Elian, and this time Lackey, of course. That secondary sniper who found so much impact opening things up to Zorte. Now, what is the Forze adaptation? They've got yet another buy round and one more after this as well, just off the back of all of their early success in this half.
Feels like Winstrike haven't just survived with the double snipers, but thrived, with Lackey doing sensational damage towards the middle of the map. It's this time Nickelback to shut down Jerry. The smokes are placed, and a slight glimmer of information for Zorte, given right above those smokes. We talked before about how he loves to play above them. Alien onto short once again. Not changing up his angles, but certainly not sticking around for all too long.
And Forrester will be moved out of position here. Perhaps not, yeah.
Oh.
Will indeed have to strafe out. And Zorte now posted up in the angle will take down Ellie, and that's one of the snipers. Lackey, the only one left.
It's very
now in car.
It's very audacious to take that secondary peek. If you're Elian, even with the sniper, Crad closes down Flip from the mid doors, and that's such an influential member taken out of the equation as the smokes are thrown over place. Almeza, another plan towards short. Forza can try and hold this one from the aforementioned angle, but Nickelback is coming through in conjunction with Forrester, who both have this one under conversion. Almeza sensational shots, not expecting the third man of Crad to come climbing in, but now the information communicated to Kenzie, who can hold away on the ramp with an AK-47 of his own. Here comes the peak. Oh no, above the boxes, sensational.
It's beautiful from Kenzie and from Almeza to have a rock-solid hold. They're not able to recover the sniper, but that's okay because the Forza economy in full swing. Kenzie's got almost $12,000, 10K borderline for 2 members of the T's. Now Winstrike themselves staring down the barrel of yet another force buy if they even want to do that. Okay, some upgraded pistols, and that's it. Only 1 suit of Kevlar. Limited utility.
We always talk about the double AWP setup being high risk, high reward. High risk because if you lose them, it costs over $10,000 to invest. Lovely shot, Lackey. That's towards the mid doors. Once again, where Almeza is punished. He's making that a bit of a routine once again. He takes a second swing against the AK-47. Don't drop the bomb here, Kenzie. As he falls back to long. Flip, challenge, Deagle. Oh no, can't find the shot. Only damage.
Yeah, you believed in Lackey for a moment there. Taking that audacious peek. You have to make these risks not only happen, but also convert. Otherwise, Winstrike are certainly going to give away the tie game. Not like they had many options either. Short control.
Well, they'll also give away the A-bomb site. Very easy to plant when there's nobody spotting from the cross CT spawn. In fact, just Forrester now. AK-47 wants to save it. Actually, a spidey sense tingling.
Ooh.
There's somebody playing in suicide. Lovely headshot onto Flit. This makes a place towards short, so maybe Elian wants another approach, but now knowing that there's an AK-47 drop towards the middle of the map, he wants to sandwich that in suicide.
Yeah, absolutely the case. Elian might have fished for some more information, but with another rifle dropped and potentially being saved in, looks like Winstrike will take that. They'll allow Forze 12. 4 rounds now separates either team from a series win.
that opens up the door to a double sniper setup as well. Forrester does purchase the Kevlar, so cannot drop that secondary AWP, and Lackey couldn't justify it, permitting he would have no body armor. Dust 2, especially beside the mid doors, it's very hard to get the job done without the Kevlar.
Yep, Zorte now taking aim. Might be able to find some damage. Instead, it's not a factor. That's not been a factor this entire map so far, but Elian certainly is, with an opening frag onto Flit, stymieing any long aggression. Bomb now towards mid.
Such an important player to get taken down as well. Flit, impactful on the T side. Hasn't been the case here on Dust 2.
Forze have just misread the economy, I think, Squid, because there's no way that they take that peak if they expect an op to be posted up, especially if Elian's the one behind it.
He's been so tempered with his economy as well, not investing a single dollar into some of these ecos. Just allowing, guaranteeing that the AWP can be picked up into the next. Obviously plays it towards long this time for that initial success. Short taken. This time, Elian won't be playing onto short. He was punished previously, not just by Zorte, but the whole pack, who throws the Molotovs in, bait him into the setup, and Zorte playing with patience can control this angle. I expect that again onto Krad, because he's playing onto short this time, where a peek or heard, Zorte doesn't catch him out, instead drops the AWP, and there's nobody perhaps competent enough to salvage it. They want to play this one with the triple AK-47s from short.
It's only 40 seconds left on the clock, and they have no idea where the remaining Winstrike players are. Bomb was also spotted, so this lean from Winstrike certainly will hold this A-bomb site more than likely. Forza have to frag out to get onto this site.
Nickelback can communicate that there's nobody coming from long. Activates a pincer from Forza. Both sides of ramp where they're not expecting Brad. Secondary shot, that's in the head. And Almeza trades it instead. 15 seconds, Lackey and Forrester to come up against him. And they're both playing from short in conjunction with one another. Playing this one absolutely flawlessly. Lackey and AWP. Maybe not the weapon I'd want in this scenario, so switches back to the aforementioned M4A4 instead. Almeza and Angle needs both of the headshots here as they line up.
Beautiful coming out from him. Almazer, the clutch master for Forza. Remember, he did the same exact thing on Mirage time and time again, and that gives Forza the lead and the economic advantage. Okay, Winstrike, they were broken in that previous round, but they still get the AWP out, and Forrester on an AUG. It's a bit of a scrappy buy. Very limited utility, remember. So Forza themselves might be able to use some of their trademark slower pace to make something happen. If not for Almazer in that situation, they would certainly have a much worse buy coming into this one.
That's absolutely astonishing from Almeza. A 1 versus 2 out of nowhere at perhaps the most important time. As you mentioned, we've seen him do it all series. A 3K on the A side of Mirage most notably to perhaps win them that map, but it wasn't so up close and personal at that point. It wasn't 12-12 on your third and final map of the series to try and break the 11 series win streak for Winstrike.
Yeah, Winstrike looking to get their 12th on the board in a row. If they can do that, if they can overcome not only Saw yesterday, but Forza today. Ooh, and Krad wants it. Tags up Zorte through the smoke. Minimal damage. A bullet headshot.
Remember, that would be the first loss handed to Winstrike in Group A here in the Esea Premier. Cherry mid. Oh, doesn't even throw a smoke towards the CT spawn. As a result, Krad isn't expecting it, allowing Elian to peek through with the AWP. Definitely dangerous, but with a secondary player hidden in the corner, Lackey can take the initial swing as Almeza, tries to finish them off. There's a Molotov at his feet. He gets traded, and this time another 1 versus 2 for Zorte. He's got the AWP, watching towards the middle of the map, and Elian doesn't want to actually contest it, permitting he's still got 30 seconds on the clock. Can rotate, doesn't. Elian still not rotating. That leaves Nickelback isolated, and the AWP doesn't become as much of an advantage with Zorte watching. Oh no! Elian walks right into it.
It's back-to-back 1v2 Squid, and that's how Forza get to 14? Are you kidding? That must be absolutely phenomenal coming up from them. I'm sure that their morale is sky high after that one. Yes, tactical pause coming up from Winstrike. You have to consider your options. With such little money, you got no AWP in this round.
Tactical pause or desperation pause. Back-to-back 1 versus 2s. Firstly, Almeza going absolutely nuclear. And then Zorte getting naughty inside of the CT spawn. That is devastating.
We talked about him, Squid. We said he needed to step up. He's only broken even off of the back of that 1-on-2. But it's the most impactful way to do so. 15 kills for him. And now Forza looking for their 15th round, in fact. Could be breaking Winstrike unless the CTs can secure a force buy victory. Maybe gamble stack? Maybe push for info? What do you realistically do against Forza, who have been playing this slower pace just to catch you off guard time and time again?
Winstrike have officially played almost 150 rounds between this series and the one against Skade. Just over 130, in fact. We might even approach it if we get into overtime. Winstrike plucked up the courage to take that one to OT after a sensational comeback against Skade. This very different opposition. Forza looked formidable.
Yeah, Winstrike need 4 rounds in a row just to finish it in regulation, and this opening pick from Zorte is so good as well. Kenzie gets tagged, but it's a consolation prize. As Forza now man up. Look for 2 more rounds to win.
He's feeling confident. A 1 versus 2 prior. This time the mid pick.
Yeah, Winstrike, they're just stewing in it because Forza are slowing things down time and time again. You think your tack timeout's enough to save you. You could have taken 2 in the time that it takes Forza just to get onto a bomb site.
Absolutely the case. Kenzie, long doors against Nickelback. This is the stalemate we talked about earlier. Turns away, expecting a flash. None come through, allowing Nickelback's 5-7 an initial engagement. Still a man advantage. Forza, as they take control of the ramp. Crad in the open, just leaving. The Scout isolated. He drops along with Forrester.
Yeah, it looks over for Winstrike here. Calling it now. Forza now 1 round away. And even though they were so low off of the back of Elian's heroics with the Scout, no frags found. Nickelback needed to somehow pull off the 5-7 play of the century in order to get his team a chance. They will have a full investment coming into this one, but it's Elian with no nades, limited utility all around practically, so only 1 or 2 full utility belts. Forza's slow style will yet again persevere.
Yeah, and especially with Lackey taking significant damage through the mid doors, down to 12. Certainly a difference maker carried into what might be the last round of this series. Winstrike 16-12. Is that even possible? Can they be beaten? 11 in a row against lesser opponents, admittedly. Certainly none of the world's best, but Forza have not really shown many weaknesses in this series entirely. Crad, A-site.
Remember that Forza themselves are off the back of some disappointing earlier rounds. Okay, they defeated Hellraisers 2-0, made a meal out of it, but at this point, to take Winstrike, a massive scalp as they rotate to A.
Crad being the sole defense, leaves the radio in for the reinforcements as he takes the peek from the ramp. None connecting, not even significant damage as he's being whittled down by the Molotovs. Takes the peek instead. Kenzie finally trades him, and the bomb down in the open leaves Lackey's lack of HP. Definitely a difference maker as he is finding everything. Round the smokes, it's only Elian. He's in Clutch City on Dust 2, but now he needs one of his own AWP peering through the smokes. Nobody spotted. Oh, there's an angle. Fast flick. Kenzie drops. And Jerry playing on the central point of this bomb site. Elian now rotating through right over the boxes. He keeps this series going.
Elian will not stop! 1 versus 2 for Forza to get 2 rounds in a row, and now Elian stops him in their tracks. Winstrike for 13, and we could go to overtime.
Oh, we certainly could. Money still healthy for Forza.
This is such an impactful round. Remember that Forza are on a streak. You called it earlier, Squid. Money still looking good. There's no freebies for Winstrike. Even this round doesn't look so hot. AWP on the ground, remember, so don't panic just yet. Just looking at the players' loadouts. Maybe Forza making them stew in it with this tactical timeout as well. You'd love to see it.
This has a buy focus, of course. Get you more focused if you're Winstrike after such a hectic round. Blood's got to be pumping. Adrenaline right through the veins after that 1 versus 2. 13-15, back into the action. Not exactly a full buy for Lackey as he holds the MP9 along with Nickelback.
Yeah, this is going to be scrappy, just like the previous round was. But if Elian can somehow make the difference with that sniper just the way he did earlier, it might be all that they need to take us to OT. 2 rounds separate our teams, but if Forza win 1, if Winstrike make any mistakes, it's map and series over.
Jerry is running a diversion into long. Definitely footsteps communicated As Winstrike absolutely heard that. Not that they'll fall for it and wrap another player over. Elian keeping his position towards the mid doors.
Yeah, Nickelback has been playing this exact position we see him in now so often, and Elian's just fallen to a Zorte wallbang. This could be all she wrote for Winstrike and their win streak.
That leaves the AWP isolated towards mid. And Zorte might have just done enough. We questioned him earlier. 18 kills on Dust 2. Not the star-studded C-Power-esque performance we were perhaps expecting, but the impact certainly has been there. Kenzie opens up long as Nickelback finally falls. That exposes the A site where Lackey Crad need to take the short control. A risk as well to try and get the job done, and it's shut down elsewhere. They've done it. They've broken the win streak.
It's over for Winstrike. Remember that was a flawless round to end us. Wow, what a performance from Forza. I am absolutely shocked that they were able to upset and in a dominant fashion on Mirage after turning heads with their competitive nature, especially on the CT side of Overpass. I knew we had a series, but I did not peg it to go this way.
Me certainly not either. I thought potentially we go towards Trainers that third and final map. So happy we got a Dust 2 because both of these teams obviously know how to play it. We saw those AWPs firing through. That was the storyline carried into this one. Clutches in the last 3 rounds from both Elian and Zorte. Exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, Squid? This might be the best series we've been able to cast so far in ESEA Premier. The fact that we get the handshake of Dust 2, normally we would get Train coming out from Winstrike, where Forza are certainly not favored at all. The fact that we got all 3 maps where teams were in theory competitive, and 2 of them especially delivering, the first and the third, to cap us off here, that's just brilliant, isn't it? The bookends of this series were absolutely magnificent, and I'm so glad we got to see both teams making a run for the money. It looks like Winstrike have finally been interrupted in their dominance so far in the Tier 2 scene of CS, and Forza might be on the come-up.
Yeah, and I'm so excited because we get to see Forza take center stage once again tomorrow against underdogs, but definitely dark horses of Wisla Krakow. That's going to be a really exciting matchup as well. So make sure you meet us back here, me and Pronogo, same time, same place, as we'll be back for more ESEA Premier.